All right, so welcome to the Mobile CSP Hangout for October 26th. This is technically part one. If we need to, we can do a second part as we've done in the past. As usual, let's start with our usual check-ins, your name, what school you're at, and what lesson you're currently on. I'm going to start with Alan first.
Okay, so I'm Alan. Everyone here knows me now. I hope. Maloney, in Meriden, and then I'm at I just fit. Hold on, there's a feedback. I hear feedback right now. The lesson I there's some strange sound. Anyone else hears that?
Yes.
I hear it.
Anyway, today I started the Magic 8 Ball lesson, so I did that today.
Awesome. Betsy.
Hi, Betsy Dillard, Tolland High School. Half-year course, so take mine with a grain of salt. I'm just finished section 3, and I'm doing the Create project. Just started that today. I think I'm ahead of schedule from last year, I hope.
Awesome. Dana? You're muted.
Okay. My name is Dana Kinnell. I teach at the Connecticut IB Academy, and we just started 2.9, what's that, the Where's North app today. And this is John.
All right, thank you, and hello. Greg, you want to go next?
Hi, Greg Chandler at Enfield High School. We're working on the paint pot project. So they did the first tutorial and the first project. We're kind of skipping on to the next tutorial and project because sometime in November around Thanksgiving, we're moving to the new wing. And at that point, I don't trust that I'm actually going to have computers at work. So I'm going to save some of the non-computer intensive stuff from then and try to get through the programming ahead of time.
Sounds good. Let's see. I'm gonna go back to Chris because Chris just came in. You wanna go next?
Sure. Yep. My kids are just starting the Create project. We created a little overall rubric today. We went through all the different expectations and what to expect. And it was a really great leverage because I said, if you haven't finished your reflections for the prior apps, you cannot start your Create project. So I got them all hyped up, and then I dropped the bomb on them, which is they can't work on it until they're ready for it. So worked out very well.
So not nice. Larry, you want to go next?
Sure. Larry Bojarski, South Windsor High School. I have students that are finishing paint pot tutorial and starting projects. I have a couple of students that are gone a little bit further, done the 3.4 and 3.5 going to bits, and are starting paint pot 2.
Great, thank you. Mike?
Hi, Michael Wilco's. I'm at Hall High School in West Hartford. We wrapped up 3.11 on Friday, and I introduced the Create project today. We went over the plethora of documents that are out there, and I saw Chris's rubric earlier, so that was good. That's where we are.
Awesome, thank you. And Matt.
Hi, I'm Matt Lane from Ellington High School, and we're going to be starting Paint Pot 2 tutorials tomorrow.
Awesome, thank you. So I'm going to mute Matt again. Did I miss anybody? I think I got everybody. So hello, Pauline Lake, the teaching consultant. for Mobile CSP, and I travel and visit all of you. So I am currently teaching the course at Trinity, and my students just finished the first programming project. We got a lot of ranges of stuff that they did, and they all made videos and stuff. So if you guys wanted to see the videos, I can send you the link so you can see what they did. But it was their very first shot, and I would say about 95% of my class had never had any type of computer science before this. So it's been pretty nice to watch their progress. And I'm looking forward to seeing you guys, especially the newbies, see what your students can do and go through that process of doing their first project with them. It's nice to hear that most of you are pretty much around Unit 3, unless you are teaching like a semester level course in which you're going a little bit faster, which is expected, such as myself, who this semester and we're already done with the Create project and we're taking midterms on Friday. So yeah, it's nice to hear all of you moving along and finding your way. So just a couple announcements from my end. If you have the agenda link, which was in the chat, then you probably already read about them. I'm still collecting consent forms. I know I was asking, try not to take them from you unless you had all of them, which makes it a little bit easier for the both of us, so I don't have to keep nagging anyone. So if you know that you still have your consent forms, just remind me the next time you see me to make sure that we can get those. And once I have them, you'll know, as far as I'll record it in their spreadsheet, in your spreadsheet with a green Y for yes, I have it. So your goal is to have all green Ys. The other thing I want to remind everyone about is our next CT-CSTA meeting is going to be November 9th at 5 p.m. at Trinity at Mather Hall on the second floor. That meeting will replace our Hangout because it's in exactly 2 weeks, perfectly lines up. So I'm going to ask that if you can, make an effort to come out and come to the meeting. It's our job to be hosting, so I hope that you can help me make a nice, warm, welcome invitation to the rest of the CT-CSTA members. And we'll do a lot of planning for CS Ed Week, which is quickly approaching. If you do plan on coming, or if you don't, either way, please indicate your attendance in the form that is linked at the top of the agenda, so that way I can plan and get lots of goodies, make sure I have enough for everyone. Another order of business would be the CS 10K community. I mentioned to you guys that you're all a part of this bigger effort. You know that there is this goal to get 10,000 computer science teachers, or to train 10,000 teachers in computer science. So there's a community, a website. This is number C on the second agenda item, letter C on the second agenda item. You can click that, sign up, join the Mobile CSP project on the website, and I will approve you. There's lots of resources on there for all different types of CS projects that are going on, including the ECS project. Some of you are interested in that, and I know Jim had been talking about doing the grant, which he successfully submitted. But go on there. You can just sign up at the very least and make sure you join the project so you can be registered as one of the teachers that we successfully helped to train. And then you can take a look, feel free to take a look around at all the projects and all the resources that are up there and connect with all the other teachers from around the nation. A question that came in when you guys did your check-ins, we didn't meet on Columbus Day, saying thank you to all of you who filled out the form for me and just checked in. So one question we had was from someone asking to update the quizzes folder. So a lot of you are doing a great job with doing the quizzes, but I just wanted to take a moment to extend the invitation that if you've created anything on your own that you want to share into that folder, whether it's a quiz, a drill, or like a small little project, something to help assess the students' on a smaller scale, feel free to shoot me an email and say, this is for the quizzes folder. All I ask is that when you share it with me, you kind of give me I get editing privileges on the version that you have, and then I'll make a copy of it. And then everybody else will get access to the copy that I make, so that you don't alter your original. So please feel free and encouraged to share those, so we're all helping one another. Does anybody else have any announcements or updates? Just general updates before we do a discussion.
Sorry. Hi. Quick request. For the cohort that I trained over the summer, St. Scholastica asked us to do a video and a tuning protocol, which I think is a really cool thing to do. And I was wondering if we might consider to, the video is totally up to you, but it would be cool to meet at some point during the semester, and maybe set up a couple workshops to do tuning protocols on how we each hit the lessons. What do you guys think? Dead silence.
I don't understand what you mean. Say that again. How we teach the lessons?
Do you guys do tuning protocols at all?
I've never heard that term before.
Okay, let me explain what it is.
I'll bet you it's like instructional rounds is what I've heard. I think.
Probably similar. What you do is you take a lesson where, like, for instance, Blown to Bits is a classic one where the responses back that we get on reflection questions, or maybe just in general, sometimes you really look at how your kids answer reflection questions and you'd like to get a quicker response and a better grammar and a little bit more detail and that kind of thing. And how do you prompt for that? Because we're not English teachers. But this is kind of an English thing. And it's kind of a fun way to do the lesson. The other perk for it is that it's part of Common Core, that they ask you to do crap like this. So when you go through and you do your evaluation for your goals and everything like that, and they sit there and they say, how did you work with other people in your area, and, branch out and share ideas and everything like this, you can say, oh, well, gee, with my extended department, this is what we did to improve the learning quality and junk like that. It just looks really nice. So I just thought I'd throw it out there as a possibility. People seem to have more desire to do it during the school year than during the summer. While you're actually in there. And normally what you do is you say, this is an area that really sucked, or it really went well, and this is what I did. What do you guys think? And it's just kind of share best practices, share should have gone really well, didn't go really well, any ideas. So it's just something out there it actually is really cool for me because I used the one for St. Scholastica as part of my goals. And my principal said, oh, gee, you're actually doing extended learning communities. Wow. Press the crap out of them. It's always nice to do that with administrators.
Betsy, you can just feel free to send more information out via email that explains what it is, an invitation via email that we can spread out. And
I'm sorry, I think I kind of came out of left field there for you guys.
we're doing stuff differently than what St. Scholastica was requiring. I will add in there that they're going to end up doing videos, so I know like Sherry and Jen are looking to get Ralph teaching some lessons, like actually taping him doing some lessons, such as him actually doing the internet lessons. So we talked about, he's not teaching the course this semester, I am at Trinity. So we talked about him being a guest lecturer for the internet lessons on, when they get to it for my course, and recording him and having the video of him teaching in the classroom to put up online. So there was a couple of things that I know that they were trying to do that was a little bit different than what we had done originally with the Connecticut cohorts. So again,
I just think it's kind of cool to cross-pollinate the two groups a little. Because, I mean, there's good stuff that's happening here that's not happening there and vice versa.
right. So feel free to share what you had suggested via email and see if anybody responds back and is interested.
Cool.
All right. Thanks for sharing. Thanks. Anybody else have any updates or announcements? Going once, going twice. Alrighty. So if you think of anything, just feel free to bring it up. I know discussion time, we had started talking about grading, which was sent out. A lot of you had asked about, how to weight and grade. That was something that you had asked for help with and expressed you wanted more information on. So you did a nice job of starting that conversation via email. I think that was the best place to do that because everybody has a little bit of different preferences and feelings, and I'm not sure that we would ever agree on one standard way of doing things. So I think that sharing the ideas via email and being able to share the resources and have people pick and decide what they need to use is just a little bit better than trying to discuss it during a video conference like this. But one thing I did want to bring up, someone had mentioned these three things. It was pacing, pair programming, and other activities to engage and interest students. So briefly, I wanted to comment on the pacing. The pacing, originally we had said, remember, 2 calendar weeks in total for each unit, including each project and each test. So if you were doing an exam, you'd spend time doing a review, you'd spend time actually taking the exam. So about 2 calendar weeks per each unit or each major project that you're working on, which would be approximately about 10 hours of contact time for each one. So if you figure you have, maybe 10 lessons in a unit, that would be about spending an hour or so on each lesson individually. Some of the lessons as well, if you take a look at them, they can be combined. I know if you're running short on time or you feel like you're getting behind, things like paint pot, there's 4 different paint pots that could technically be combined and done together into 2 different lessons instead of 4. Depending on how you want to break it down and how much time you have in class with your students. So I don't necessarily think that pacing is something that's going to be an issue for anyone. I think all of you are doing fine, and that by the time you get to the Create project and you do the first exam, that everybody will be fine and caught up. So I don't think anybody at this point has any issues as long as you're sticking to that 2 calendar weeks or 10 contact hours for each unit or major project. Does anybody have any thoughts or concerns that they're worried about based on that model?
No, I think the 2 calendar weeks is a good model because you're right. There are a couple of lessons that can be like squished together more or less. And then there's been times where like my class this year is really like getting creative with the projects, and they've wanted more time in class to try and do crazy things with the tutorials. Say, oh, I wanted to try this, that, or the other thing. And I said, all right, well, I'll give you tomorrow to do that, but then it's my expectation that you're going to do this smaller one where there's no app involved as a homework assignment, and we'll discuss it in the first 10 minutes of class, and then I'll give you the next 40 minutes of class to continue working on the creative part. So it's been nice that it's flexible like that. And I think there's more than enough time and stuff to stretch to make it work.
Anybody else have any thoughts or concerns? You not feel like you could meet that? I think.
I guess my concern is, and you know, Pauline, I have really large freshman classes, and I have random technology issues where our district's antivirus software was actually blocking the App Inventor website for 3 or 4 days last week. And it just keeps seeming like one thing after another. If it's not that the students are confused about some of the non-app stuff, like going through binary numbers and, you know, not some of them not really having a strong background in math. They're struggling, and I feel that we're behind, and I'm not sure how well we're going to be able to stick to the schedule, but we're trying.
Definitely. I think knowing that you're coming to the end of Unit 2, Unit 3 is one of those ones that each lesson is laid out, you know, little by little. Like I said, there's 4 paint pot lessons in total, but if you look at the content of them, you could definitely combine them and make it, you know, into 2 different paint pot days, where one day is a tutorial and the other day is just all for projects and finishing up, rather than doing 4 days. Another one I know that's there is 3.8 and 3.10. That's the card trick and learning the parity scheme. And if you spend, you know, a class time, you know, the lesson plans are on the teacher side to help you if you're stuck and you're not really sure what to do and you need more ideas for activities. The lesson plans are really good. I know Jen and Sherry worked really, really hard on putting those together. But you don't necessarily have to follow them exactly. You can kind of like move things around and alter things based on your classroom. So 3.8 and 3.10, error detection and parity scheme, if you do the card trick and you focus your lesson around the card trick and having the students replicate the card trick, you can definitely teach both of those lessons in one day, in one classroom time. And I know that just from having done it so many times myself, but also been in the classroom with the teachers when, you know, they're doing it for the first time. And if you explain that trick well and you make sure that the students can do the trick and truly understand how the trick works, then they're able to answer the reflection questions and understand what parity bits are, understand what the schemes are. So if you just do the trick yourself and then say this, you know, that's it, that's one thing, that you're taking it one step at a time. But if you can do the trick and then actually have the students replicate it, you're basically turning that into a one day classroom activity that covers both lessons already. And that right there, between the paint pots and the error detection, that was six lessons that you could cut down into 3 if you feel like you're running out of time. So things like that, look for ways to kind of like pick and choose maybe like what might be a good activity that you can have them work on that would focus their learning and help you be more efficient with the class time if you feel like you're pressed for time. Obviously, if you feel like you're able to get through the lesson and you're at a good pace, don't worry about it. But if you feel like you need to catch up, there are ways to combine the lessons. And I know Ralph isn't here, but he's been talking a lot about cutting down and saying we have way too much going on there, more than what we need, and making more lessons optional or combining lessons, like I'm saying. So he knows that there is a lot there. He knows. Gotcha.
Pauline?
Yep.
One thing that I did too was I preloaded that lesson with the card trick, where I took kids that were running a little fast the day before and I taught them the card trick. So I had 4 stations that had the card trick going. And then it just sped the whole thing up incredibly. And what I do is I'd say, when you're through with your reflection questions, I can teach you a trick so you can tell the guys the next day. And it actually sped things up the day before. It's just a way of front loading it. So you're not the only person talking. That really makes it kind of cool.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Betsy. I think that's one that Dana could definitely use with the large class sizes. If we have students that are going ahead and really good at things, that's one way to take advantage of that opportunity too, and teach them things so that way when it comes time they can help teach their classmates. So definitely a great strategy. Welcome, Scott. I see you there.
Yes, hello.
The other thing, besides the pacing that we were just talking about, we had some people ask more about the pair programming. All right, it's going to say 10 minutes, but it's fine. When it runs out, I can send the other link. For pair programming, for those of you who have started it, I would say you probably may have started it for Unit 3. Any tips or suggestions for those of you who have done it so far to share? This might be more so of a question for the veterans.
Well, I know I'm not a veteran, but I did it for the paint pot project. We just did tutorial, and then they seem to love it. They just the first set of enhancements, and they did pretty well. And they were proud of what they produced, and they presented it, and they enjoyed it. And I showed them the video of the not the whole 10-minute one from that I forgot what college it was. It was the middle school age kids. And they understood what was going on, and they did well. I was surprised that they were so receptive to it.
Mm-hmm. Good. Has anybody else done pair programming yet? How did it go?
I've done some as well. I've had some very strong students and some that are not as strong, and I made the pairs. So I put the strong students with some of the not as strong students, and it worked very well. I don't think the weaker students are not as embarrassed to admit they're having troubles with a fellow student as they are with me. So just in walking around and listening to them, the interaction, I think it's gone very well.
One thing that I found, I team on just about every project or pair, and I also pair on the Blown to Bits, and it's a really good way of getting kids answering questions better, because I have them go through a rubric of, did you really answer the question? Did you support your answer? Did you if possible, and there's some kind of illustration that really helps, did you show it? And so they self-evaluate each other, and I find that they're harsh. They really push each other's buttons and get each other to do better work. And they nag each other so much more effectively than I could. So if you get bored with nagging, let your students do it to each other.
Anybody else?
I haven't done pair programming. It's sort of been parallel programming where they've got the tablet in between them and they're both going at the stations. When I introduced the project and I said, you're going to work with a partner, there's not going to be anybody working alone, there's going to be one group of 3, they're like, can we choose the groups? I'm like, I haven't decided yet. And I made groups because there's one student who has got problems with absenteeism as part of like his disabilities, that he's just absent all the time. So I want to make sure he's in the group of 3 so I can kind of work around him. But they were very concerned about not being able to I don't know, control the flow of where they saw their project going, because they were working back and forth. They were helping each other side by side, and I call it like parallel programming, so that they're not passing the thing back and forth. They're guiding, and they're not allowed to move on until like their partner is satisfied that they understand the content. But I told them that tomorrow, when they start brainstorming, they're going to have to compromise, because that's one of the big things that this is going to teach them how to do, is compromise on a project, collaborate, and come up with ideas that they may not necessarily want to do entirely, but it's the best choice that they have available to them. And so I think I still might leave it open a little bit for them to choose their groups tomorrow, as long as I can just try and make sure that one student doesn't get partnered and saddle somebody, because it's now, less than 40 days into the school year. He's probably been absent 10 times. He gets the work done, but he's just not in class. But that's where I am on the pair programming. And from my experience last year, like when I rang the bell, the students kind of did not like that, whereas where I let them sit side by side and program together and then share the tablet, test back and forth, and help and audit each other's code and help each other make their enhancements, they like that a little bit more. But that's my experience.
Thanks, Michael. Anybody else want to share?
How many of you guys have a lot of special ed kids in your class?
I've got about 3 to 4 in a classroom of 10.
I have about 1/3 in a classroom of 17, and it's pretty consistent. I end up getting about 1/3 of my kids are special need. And sometimes I get as much as almost half. Paired programming, where you do teams, and if you have this sounds really strange, but works really well. Last year, for the first time, I had an ADHD kid that was driving me absolutely nuts. He had trouble staying in his seat, and he'd run ahead, but he'd forget to do stuff. And I have another kid that's extremely slow, but very meticulous. But they're both special needs. And I never would have thought of pairing 2 special need kids together. But they really complemented each other's disabilities, and they got stuff done in the right pace. So look at your kids and balance the teams and balance their abilities. And recognize that your special needs kids are very, very good with process for the most part, especially if they've got content support. They're really, really trained on following a rigorous procedure. And that's a strength. Whereas your regular kids might be really geniuses at getting work done from a programming standpoint, but really crap at actually doing the documentation and, checking all the little, did I put up the barcode? Did I put up the AIA? Did I put up the APK? Help the kids recognize what each other's strengths are. So they recognize that by putting people on a team that are different abilities, that it actually makes a stronger team for both kids. And the more that you sell them that way, the less that they feel like they're carrying someone, and the more they feel like they're really learning what a good team is. It's really helped over the years. It's also helped me when I tell the kids you have to ask 2 other people before you talk to me, because otherwise you have a line of kids behind you. I can't figure this out, miss, help me out. It's like, that drives you nuts. The best class is when they all are asking questions, but not to me. And I walk around when they seem to get off task, but other than that, I'm just repointing. Because unless you really get them to team, you won't get that level of questioning and answering going. And that's so productive, and they teach each other better than you can. It helps your sanity too.
We have about 1 more minute left in this recording. We could take a vote if you would like. If you would like me to start a second Hangout, we can. Anybody in favor, say aye. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and end this one and continue the conversation through email. Send any activities that you might have done that could be used in the classroom. Continue the conversation. And I hope to see you guys at Trinity in a couple of weeks.
Sounds good.
All right.
Thanks, Pauline.
Good night, everyone.